Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, always appreciate you guys joining me for the High Performance Calls. My name's Andrew David. This is Blake Newbar's partner program. Whether you're catching us live or you're on YouTube, like and subscribe below, all that fun stuff. Anyway, appreciate you guys coming on. I'm excited for today's call because I've got a buddy that's joining me that's now I've known for a number of years. When I was at a point where I was trying to figure out what in the heck I was going to be doing when I grew up. My early 30s, finally deciding to do something that wasn't dictated by someone else. He put me in contact with some people and pointed me down this path of online marketing and affiliate marketing and all sorts of different things when it came to the digital world that we now live in. He is someone that has been building funnels and developing sales processes since before the advent of all of this computer and basic funnel stuff. I remember him telling a story of going out to, and I may be totally wrong, so if I'm wrong on this, Jason, correct me, but telling stories of him going out to parking lots and leaving flyers on cars with a number and then leading people through a real sales funnel, like in heavy duty work each step, as opposed to click, 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 click. No, Maria, not Russell Brunson. I'm not bringing Russell on today. That would be pretty great, but maybe some other time we'll get Blake to get him set up. Anyway, my friend Jashin Howell. So I mentioned yesterday, my good friend Chris was on yesterday. Chris introduced me to Jason. We sat in a class and we started talking about some similar interests, and it's developed into, for me, a fantastic relationship, friendship. He has been a mentor. He has been a guiding light. He has been a dear friend at times during my life when very few people were. And so I treasure him and his relationship and all of that fun stuff. Not to get too emotional, because when he and I get going, we can get to be pretty emotional. So on that note, I want to talk today about mentors. I want to talk about relationships because he's one of the best I've ever met at making those happen. So with that said, V, if you can go ahead and spotlight Mr. Jashin Howell and myself, I would appreciate it. We're going to spotlight, it says Jason's bandwidth is low to spotlight. What's going on here?
Can you not see me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you guys see him? I don't know what happened to his video. There you are. There we go.
I can see me. I'm in Sedona, guys, so this was one of those things where I knew we might be challenged with some Wi-Fi, but I dialed in, so you should be able to hear me regardless of how well the internet is. So,
yeah,
excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm grateful to have you on, my man. Been trying to get you for a little while, so I appreciate you coming on. So, thank you. So, Jason, do you want to tell a little bit about what you've done in the digital space and online and marketing and company-wise and all that kind of stuff?
Sure. So, 2002, and if you hear a little background noise, I'm out by the pool. Got this really cool view back there. We got the mountains in Sedona. We've been here for this whole week. It's our spring break. And when Andrew said, hey, you want to come on this week? I'm like, well, it's our spring break. So I'll figure out how to make it happen. And so Friday was the best day because this is when we go back. But my journey began, me and my wife, Tanya, got married in 2002. And it was interesting because I was about a year and a half clean and sober. I struggled with a drug addiction for many, many years, always believed in the possibilities of things. Speaking of mentors, one of my first mentors was in the health club industry, turned me on to Tony Robbins. That was the first time this was when Tony was huge on the infomercials, and this was back in 91. And I fell in love with personal growth and personal development. Obviously I was challenged with my own personal issues. At that time, I grew up without a dad in a single parent home. My mom was the one that kind of raised me, and so she had to wear both hats. And that comes with some challenges. You look at a lot of the statistics that happens with fatherlessness, and I fell into a lot of those same traps. But all of that's on purpose. There's a reason why we go through the things that we do, and there's a reason why we're at where we're at. And so how do we embrace that? And there's mentors all along the way, good and bad, right? So there's mentors that might be bad role models, but guess what? We learn a lot from them, what not to do. So, you know, there's a lot that we can take from those types of things. My journey in the digital marketing space happened 2002. Me and my wife got involved with a company called Liberty League. It was a personal development company. Again, I was always fascinated with personal growth. And it was a direct sales compensation model where we were marketing events and products and services to help people get out of their own way and start really understanding the power of positive thinking and focusing on what you want and not what you don't want. And so I had a lot of mentors throughout that whole process. In the initial days of finding people for that business model, we were, you know, walking around in parking lots, putting, you know, flyers. I would hire day laborers. It's easy to find out here in the Southwest. And we would go out and we would flyer, you know, parking lots. And we tried the airport at one time. That was a no-no. Got kicked out right away. Almost went to jail. Funny story, but that was 20 years ago, so don't judge me. And that's another thing. We should not judge each other. But anyway,
we've all gone through some interesting experiences to get here. So you started with Liberty League, and then you've done a number of other things since then, right?
Oh, yeah. So after Liberty League, I got involved with marketing supplements online. So it was the health industry. I don't know if my background's too loud. We got a couple of little kids having fun out there. So I started marketing nutritional products online. Now, I got my introduction to this kind of sales process where you're introducing people to a front end. Is that too loud, guys, or am I good?
You're okay.
Can you hear those?
I mean, we can hear it, but you're all right.
Here, I'll move. See if I can find a better place. Here, I'll make it so that I have the mountains as the background over here. I'll be just far enough away. Can you guys see that background?
To the sales? Not yet. Your video is kind of frozen. But your audio is good. That's the important part. So you got introduced to the sales process, you were saying?
Yeah. So I got introduced to the sales process where you introduce people to a front-end marketing product, introduce them to the product that then turns them into buyers, because as they go through the product, they understand what it is that you do, the products that you offer, and it allows you to build a relationship with them. So it was a brilliant marketing plan that I was introduced to from a mentor of mine. Her name was Lisa. And one of my initial mentors, Brock, who's gone on to do some great things. Both of them have. And a lot of the people that I've actually met in this space have come from that original relationship. So relationships are key and very important. Mentors are one of the most important things that you can actually do. And I know we're going to talk a little bit about what is a mentor and what you should be looking for in a mentor. But I think the biggest thing is really understanding, okay, if I'm looking for a mentor, because you can get mentors from books. You don't necessarily have to work directly with a mentor. I recommend it because they can see what's going on, help you with the blind spots in your life. Sorry, I'm kind of diving straight into the mentor conversation.
So, a mentor can help see the blind spots. Go ahead.
Yeah. Help see the blind spots, things that we don't recognize. A lot of times we go about our daily lives and doing the things that we do the way that we do it, and it doesn't necessarily work. And it's only when someone from the outside can take a peek at what it is that we're doing, kind of get a better understanding. They can help us kind of assess the thoughts that are going on that are creating the world that we want. Bob Proctor, I'm a huge fan of. And one of the things that he always talks about is how our thinking mind creates the results in our world. And so anyway, I know you have a kind of a direction you want to go, so I'll let you.
Well, no, and we got a lot of people that are connected with Bob Proctor here as well. We got a lot of Proctor fans, so it's a good quote. So let me ask you. So we're talking about as we're looking for mentors. One of the things you mentioned just now, and one of the reasons, guys, I want to talk with them because a lot of the relationships that I have blossomed because I was able to create a relationship with Jason, or I was able to create a relationship with others, right? And it starts there. But walking into kind of a mentor-mentee relationship, Jason, you mentioned, someone being able to, now we've got the ones that you can have where it's reading a book or it's listening to a podcast, or they're people that you may not interact with directly, guys. Those are absolutely mentors that you can have. We're talking about kind of that next level and trying to build a more personal relationship. So Jason, when you are, because I know you've got some mentors too. And when we were in, a couple of years ago, we were out in San Diego and we were talking there. You mentioned you've got a mentor again that's helping you through business and looking at different things. And so when you're looking to create a relationship with a mentor as a mentee, what are some things that I can do to better prepare myself in order to be mentored? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing that all of us can do, and I mean, if you're a mentor right now, you're mentoring other people, guess what? You still haven't arrived yet. Anybody that thinks that they've arrived and there's nothing more to learn, man, you got to be 6 feet under the ground, because that just doesn't work in today's day and age, especially with how quickly things change, especially on the internet. We always have to be what I call open, and that is open to receive criticism, open to receive new information, open to let go of some of your beliefs that, might be holding you back, that you might not recognize but just being completely open to possibilities. If there's an opportunity that, might come your way, be open to at least hearing it out. If you're so focused on what it is that you're doing and you know exactly where you want to go, then a good mentee will go out and find a mentor that's doing what they want to do. And they'll hire that person, or they'll be in circles that will allow them to be around those types of people. Maybe the person that you really want to mentor with is way too expensive, can't afford it. What's the next best thing? Well, find people that have mentored with that person. Get in their communities, get in their Facebook groups. Start, because there's a lot of different things that we can do to tap into this. I know that when you spend money on stuff like this, that's a commitment level that takes your whole learning to another level. When I first got started in this, I didn't have a dime. It was me getting married to my wife, Tanya. And again, I came from just getting clean and sober. So I was getting my financial life together, and she just happened to have the funds to be able to get us into that initial business and mentor program. And so it's like, there's so many different ways and resources that we can tap into and utilize and get creative around. Maybe finding a partner with someone else that you can kind of create a dual way of going in and getting involved with a mentor. But the biggest thing with being a mentee is, number one, being open to learning, and then taking what you've learned and teaching that to other people. Mentee becoming the mentor. That's a critical piece. You're going through your own journey right now, be it business, be it whatever it is that you might be challenged with in this life. You're going through it in order to help other people through similar things. So remember that.
So Jason, how do you recommend that people, because one of the things that we talk about all the time, guys, is taking what you're learning and teaching. How would, if I'm a mentee, if I'm getting mentored, how do I overcome this imposter syndrome feeling of I'm not good enough to teach someone yet? Because our members here are stepping into this role of, I'm going to teach other businesses how to market, and I'm going to teach them how to get their business going, right? That's kind of the role that they're taking with the business, whether it's that or personal development or whatever. How do I say, okay, well, Jason's training me this, but I don't know if I'm the right person to share this information, or if I know enough or whatever. How do we overcome that, or what do you suggest doing there?
Well, that's a mindset thing, number one. It is also a skill set thing. So the more you do, the better you get. So I always tell my kids that, it's practice. It's like, the more you practice, the better you get. The more you practice, the better you get. We went snowboarding yesterday, and my oldest son, was like, man, I'm not as good as my youngest son, Rylan. I'm not as good as Rylan. It's like, well, you didn't want to come in the first place, but then when you get out here, you love it. It's like, if you would be more open to doing these types of things, then you would be you would get more practice in, you would learn better. How we approach anything determines really our level of effectiveness in what we're learning, right? So, I mean, let's go back to Bob Proctor. I mean, I just listened to this recently. Science of Getting Rich is probably one of my favorite books, and he does a whole program on that. And what he talks about is that, how you do anything is how you do everything. Now, he didn't actually say that, but what he did say was this, is that there's a certain way. You can take specific actions, but there's a certain way of doing it that'll allow you to get the most benefit out of that action, And so a lot of times we approach things with negative thinking, with, fear, doubt, fear of rejection, whatever the case may be. We're approaching situations already defeated. And so how are we going to show up that way? Well, you're going to fail, a lot of times. You're going to not have the result that you're looking for. Why? Because you've already created it up here. So, I mean, mindset is such a critical piece to this whole thing. One of the things that one of my other mentors, his name's Nick Unsworth, what he did was he would actually go and he would do work for free for some people, right? So this gave him, how do I work with a client? Well, if you've never worked with a client before, maybe just offer services to someone that you know. It's like, or find someone in business that you can do the service for free for a little bit, right? Or figure out a very low cost that they would pay in order to do it, just so that you're getting this under your belt, right? Because the more you do it, the more confidence you have in it. And so I think that's the biggest thing for most people, is that they fear what they don't know. And so if you start doing and taking action, fear goes away. I mean, the action is the antidote to anxiety and fear. Just take action.
So a lot of that with the mentor-mentee relationship, guys, that's the key, is you've got to go into it with this willingness of, hey, I'm going to learn because I'm open to it. I know I've got something wrong or something that isn't quite right that needs fixing. This mentor can help me, right? And then once you start to get that feedback, you've got to be willing to accept the feedback, not get upset, get your ego out of the way, and then take action on what they're telling, because that action is what's going to take you to that next step. Jason and I have had some conversations where there have been a few moments where, and Jason, I don't even know if you remember saying this to me at one point, but as I was starting this whole process in digital, and we were talking, and this is back in the days with some of those initial conversations, it was you can do this. You just need to jump in and you can't quit, was one of the things that was said. And I bowed up a little bit at the time internally because, well, I'm not going to quit and blah, blah, blah. But, it was, you can kill it at this, but you can't quit. And, that's something that over these years, even when things are going really well, he's been able to push me. And I think we've developed a relationship where we kind of, we've had conversations on working on certain things together that have allowed, I feel like I've blossomed in a big, big way because of that influence. But a large part of that was me working through my own nonsense to be able to accept that I had to become better and that I had more control than I did at the time. That I really had more control than I was believing that I did. And then having someone that was as much of a friend as Jason's been, still kind of on the outside looking in. And so following up and asking where the progress is, and me knowing, I think at times, like, man, when I talk with him, I've got to tell him how this is going and this is going and this is going. And you've got to be willing to do that. And it's not easy for a lot of us to do in a real relationship like that. So, and then along those lines, one of the things that he gave me, one of the teaching things that he gave me, and so all of you guys, how many of you guys have read or looked at The Big Leap already? Jason's the one that, that all came from him. He gave that to me. So if you guys enjoyed reading that, then he's the one to thank for it. But, good. All right, guys, I've got a couple other questions about, mentorship. He's popping back. His audio dropped. Okay, great. So I've got some other questions about mentorship with Jason. He's going to be back on in a second. What questions do you guys have? Whether it's about relationships, building a team, guiding a team. That's one of the things that Jason really excels at. Jason, are you there yet or no? Yes, no? No, yes? Okay. Well, I can handle it for a minute. Talk to me, guys. What do you guys think about relationships, mentorships? Any questions that you have about those and how those go? Right. So I'm going to ask him a little bit about that. But does anyone have any questions about mentorships and relationships and why they're important?
Hey,
There's
here. Can I ask a question? So, how do we find out the right mentor? How do we approach them? How do we request them to accept myself as a mentee?
How do you identify or how do you approach?
How do you identify, and then how do we go for acceptance?
So I got a quick answer to that one.
Go ahead, Jason. Yep.
Find out what the person wants and help them achieve it. I mean, that's the biggest thing is I whenever I'm talking to someone, I always want to make sure that there's alignment in what I want out of the relationship and what they're looking for out of whatever they're focused on or doing, right? I mean, it's how to win friends and influence people. You know, it's like, how do I get into this circle? And it might be that you go through it some different ways, you know, because you talk about finding a specific mentor and how to become their mentee. And some of them might not have that, you know, as part of what they want to do as far as being a mentor. But the biggest thing is like help them get what they want. That's the first thing that you can do. Find out what they want and help them get it. And then stay connected to that. That's one thing that I've done.
Yeah. So identifying, I did a training before. One of the things I talk about is identifying the core values that you have. Like what are your goals and what are the core moral and the core success principles? What do you have? What are you looking for? Like, what are you looking to develop? And then finding individuals that are living that, are doing that, because it's not just about money in many, many ways, guys. You've got to understand that we all know people that have generated plenty of wealth and their lives are empty because other things haven't followed through. And one of the things I love about Jason and the relationship we've got, he works hard at the family side. You know, the FAM project that Chris was talking about yesterday, that began, and the genesis of that was Jason, and he's worked tirelessly over the last couple of years and will continue to do so. And we talk a little bit more about it, but you know, you want to look for people that have achieved, but that are also living the way you want, right? Or at least you decide they've got enough of these elements that I want to be a part of their life. And then, in agreeing with Jason, what are they after? What are these mentors after? And how can I help contribute to that, right? What can I do to be a part of that?
I got a quick comment here, and it kind of flows into all of this. And this is something that I always talk to, you know, those, my teammates, you know, that I'm working with. And, you know, number one is being humble, right? That's your openness. That's being childlike. It's being willing to learn, right? So humble is the first one. And we all get there at different times and in different ways to that humble place. And that's like basically the foundation. It's like starting over. The next one is gratitude, you know, so humble, grateful. You know, what am I grateful for? And then mindful is the last one. Mindful allows you to not have to go back down to the humble piece. It allows you to continue to be grateful. Mindful also allows you to tap into something a little bit powerful than any other one thing, and that is our own intuition, our ability to, you know, for me it's God. I don't know, you know, what your guys' beliefs are, but I think it's like 97% of the people believe in a power greater than themselves. So being mindful still, how do I know what to do? You know, and by being and tapping into your own intuition and being able to tap into that higher power, that source that knows all things, you're going to be led in the right direction. But you got to quiet that mind. And I think a lot of times we're too clouded in our brains with so many things to do, and we get overwhelmed with all this new material we're learning. And if we just sit back, take some meditative time, best time to do this is in the mornings for me, and that'll help direct you in where you should go and what you should do for your life. And that's just a little quick piece that I just thought of once you started talking.
No, it's great. And guys, hopefully you are catching the resonance in the continuity and the message that we deliver over and over and over again. So when he's talking about being mindful and your personal intuition, what is that? I mean, it's that level of self-awareness, right? Who you are, how you react to certain situations, what you've got going on, what drives you, all of those elements, paying attention when there's too much noise going on, finding some silence, whether it's meditation or it's yoga or it's prayer or scripture study or it's, listening to something that brings you back to yourself and eliminates some of the noise. Sometimes that noise is the excuses and complaints that we allow to permeate our thoughts throughout the day that deliver a level of negativity that strips away any positive gain that you might have. One of the questions just now, Ernie's asking, how do we wake up and start our day off right every single day? First off, understand you do the best that you can in order to start your day off right, with the understanding that occasionally it won't go that way. And you've got to be okay with that, right? Don't beat yourself up when something happens. Number two, Ernie, you're already doing more consistently now with your days and everything else than you were in the past. So keep doing that. For a lot of you, you're searching for things that you're already starting to do, right? My role, someone was asking in here a minute ago about the mentor, like part of what I do here is a mentor program. If you take it and you act on it. And that's the key. The education that you gain at any point, guys, you've got to be willing to act. Because if you don't, you will hunt forever for someone local or someone distant, and you will do this and you will do that, and you'll never figure it out because you're simply not taking the action on what you already know to do. So a mentor-mentee relationship, or building a relationship with a team, is only as effective as the action you take to make it happen and then continue to bring value to whatever that relationship is. Right? Is everybody still with us? Go ahead.
Yeah, and add to that, I can't say enough to the importance of our language. Tony Robbins talks a lot about what he calls NAC. And if those that are familiar with NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, there's a component of it called the triad, which is like we can change how we feel in any moment by changing three different things. Number one is our physiology, how we are physically. Number two, our focus, what we're focusing on. And then number three, our language. But if you really look at all of those, what's the most important one? It's our language. It's how we're speaking and thinking to ourselves, how we're speaking to other people, because that will determine our level of where we're focused. Think about it. I mean, when we're thinking things in our minds, our language directs our focus, right? And then that creates action. So that's the physiology side of things. So if the most important piece of that is the language, what are you telling yourself? The world that you have in your life right now, everything that you have, you created. You can't sit here and blame anybody else. I can't blame my mom or my dad for not being a part of my life. I got to look in the mirror and take responsibility for every single aspect of my life. Did I take the action that I was supposed to take? Did I buy a product with good intentions, but I didn't actually do anything, right? So now it's whose fault? The person I bought the product from or me, right? What you gain out of any situation is up to you. And that starts here. What are you telling yourself? So, the whole blame game, get out of that. Start focusing on what it is that you want and start thinking about those things and spending time there. And you'll notice that you start attracting that to you. It's a simple concept. It's really hard to do, guys. Believe me, I know. I've been going through it for the last 2 years with what I'm doing with the fan project. It's a big beat that we're tackling.
It's word, it's work, putting the words into play, like you said, language, focus, and physiology. So, all right, let's kind of take that. Obviously, you guys, the key to relationships, a lot of that starts with you, right? You've got to get right yourself in order to do that. Working with a mentor. Let's talk about like relationships and teams and doing things like that. Overall, over the course of your career, what would you say the importance of having the right team or trying to build the right relationships? Because maybe it's not just that mentor-mentee relationship, but having those around you that can lift you up or their skill sets or whatever. How have relationships and teams played a role in your success and what you've been able to do?
You're asking me?
Yep, absolutely. You're the man.
So teams are, so I'm the type that I don't have an ego when it comes to this stuff. I don't have to be the guy that gets all the credit or anything. If anything, I kind of veer away from that. I think teams are critically important. I think everybody should be sitting on the bus that, and sitting on the seat on the bus that fits well with who they are. And you're going to find, what it is that you're really, really good at. And so I like to work off of strengths personally, and focus on those things that I'm good at. And that's one thing that, I'm a visionary. That's one thing that I love doing and I'm good at. The other thing is team building and recruiting, helping find the right people. And, it's interesting that you're talking about this. And, I've been reading a book. It's called The Miracle Equation by Hal Elrod. He also did the Morning Miracles, which is a great, great book. His new one is impeccable. But what it talks about in there is that there's two components that we need in order to create miracles in our life. And I look at my life as a miracle. I mean, going from being on the streets, a crackhead, to where I'm at today, man, having an amazing family. All of my kids are awesome. I have a beautiful wife. I'm truly blessed. But those are miracles, right? I look at those as miracles. But here's how miracles are formed and created. Number one is having unwavering faith. Never lose sight of the faith that you have towards whatever it is that you're doing. And I'm not talking about, a religious faith. I'm talking about just having faith that whatever you're going after is going to happen. And then the second piece is extraordinary effort. So impeccable faith, extraordinary effort. Having those two things creates miracles. That's the equation. Really simple. Now, obviously, there's more to it, meaning that it's hard work. This is not easy stuff, especially when you're up against certain things. But having team around you, having people that can lift you up when you're down, or you can lift them up. I mean, the team members, they don't necessarily have to be above you, like mentors don't have to be above you, meaning that they don't have to be this rich person or this uber successful person. It doesn't have to be the mentor. It could be the guy that you're working next to, the gal that you're working next to. It could be someone that you bring onto the team and you're learning from each other. You become each other's mentor-mentee relationship, kind of like an accountability partner. We learn from each other. Right? And I think that's the biggest thing. And what we're doing with, speaking of the FAM project, is, I look at like this digital world that we're in right now, and our kids, we're losing them to these devices and this digital addiction. And, and for me, coming from an addiction background, I'm really passionate about helping curb this. And so, some parents are doing a really good job. Other parents aren't. But does that mean I can't learn from a parent that's not necessarily an expert or a thought leader? Of course not. I can absolutely learn from someone that way. So, with the team that you build around you people that are going to uplift you, that are going to be there to support you in what you're doing, and not, cast negative or doubtful, create doubt in what it is that you're looking to accomplish. You want to surround yourself, and I call it your habitat. What is your habitat like? Your environment. What kind of environment are you creating? And that is so critically important because everything comes out of that. All good things come out of it.
One thing I want to key in here, Jason, and I want everybody to hear, when we're talking about doing this, we're talking about building a relationship with a mentor. You're talking about bringing a team around. It's not the easiest thing to do. We're talking about doing it, and we've been able to do it. We've been very blessed to be able to do it. And, I'm constantly, you guys know, I talk about Jason all the time. I reference him and the influences that he's had and some of these other people.
I didn't do the
What's that?
Andrew. I said, I didn't do the work. Andrew did the work. I don't know why I get all this credit for it.
But he was the one to help guide that, and the point of this is like, I've gone through a lot of crap personally, just like Jason was talking about his personal story and I've talked about mine. I've gone through that crap personally, but I've also gone through some mentors or relationships that I thought were going to be real beneficial and they weren't, guys. And you've got to be willing to go through those to find the one, your diamond in the rough. But you've got to be willing to cut off some of those relationships in order to find the other ones. Because sometimes we get into a relationship that we're like, this is going to be part of my team. This is going to be my mentor. And then it sucks and you're working to make it work. And there's no reciprocity there. And it's not being beneficial for either of you. And it's dragging you down and you're going, but I was building a team and I tried, or they started. And, there's got to be follow through within those teams. But the biggest part of it, Jason's talking about, I did the work. I've had to do work, but having a mentor that keeps pushing. But I've had mentors that just where they flaked out, or you graduate to a different level, or there's something else that you need. Life is constant cycle of development. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And to add to that, a lot of times we have this idea of how things are supposed to look, especially on initial purchase of something or getting involved in something in the very beginning. We've got these grandiose ideas. Then once we start getting in the trenches of it, it's like, oh my gosh, it's a little bit different than I thought it was. Right. And then, this expectation of what things were supposed to be like aren't necessarily that way. And so we got to be, again, open. This is how we grow. We grow through hard things. We grow through being challenged and tempered, right? Like steel. And so this is exactly what Andrew is saying here. It's like you might be in one circle, but then you realize that circle that you thought was going to get you where you want to go isn't necessarily the circle that is where you need to be at this point in your life, or what's going to actually get you to that next level. So again, be open and not so stuck on this specific thing that you had inside your mind. And so I think that's where expectations come into play. You just got to let expectations go and allow yourself to grow through all experiences.
Yeah, and that's so having an idea where you want to be and what you want to achieve long term, but the expectation of how exactly that pathway is going to work. When I met Jason, it was going in and I was sitting in a training with Chris looking at live blood analysis and nutritional microscopy. Like I went to learn how to be certified in that, right? Some of the stuff that we were talking about yesterday. And I meet Jason. And that led me to this after a lot of different other, pathways have kind of curved around. But I went there with the intention of I'm going to be doing live blood analysis and kind of helping people with their health forever and ever, because that was important to me and I was going to do that. And it's led to, multiple masterminds that we've attended together, talking and strategizing about launching different products and programs and everything else. And a number of different iterations of what my pathway I thought would be. But thankfully, I've been able to eliminate the expectations of this is exactly how I need to make that happen, and simply said, that's my goal. And I'm going to figure out however I need to get there, I'm going to get there. And that's what I keep pushing towards. And so having the right kind of team, the right mentor and other people in place and being coachable in that process has been really part of the biggest part of it for me. So, let me see. Oh, we got somebody. Jason, go ahead. Did you have a thought?
That came through on how I got out of the street. It just happened to pop up. So I'll answer that one real quick. So in just all candor, and I don't know what anybody's religious affiliation is or, your spiritual connectedness. But ultimately God, I got a phone call from a childhood best friend's mom. Hadn't spoke to him in 13 years, calls me up out of the blue. I just moved from Tucson, which I was in and out of, recovery and just about to be on the streets there. Moved from Tucson to Wisconsin to live with my dad. I had all of my issues because I never got to know my dad. And so I'm living with him. First week I'm there, I get this phone call from my childhood best friend's mom, calls me up, tells me she's been having dreams about me and she felt the Spirit told her I was ready to learn more about God. And so 9 months later, I found myself on the streets in Milwaukee, And I was 10 days on the streets, walked into a Taco Bell to get a drink of water, cause I was basically homeless. And I saw a guy pray over his food, and it instantly reminded me of that phone call that I had gotten 9 months prior. I turned myself into a homeless shelter. They were teaching from the Bible, and in order to be there, you had to listen to these sermons. And that started my journey and path, having God in my life. So God can do many, many cool things. So that's how I got off the street. I don't know if there's any other questions that people had that you can see, Andrew.
Yeah, we've got a few, and Jason, I appreciate sharing that as always. I've had the chance to listen to his story many, many times, and part of this, guys, is, again, whether it's God or you believe in something else, one of the keys to success at any point in your life is understanding there's something bigger than you, right? God, the universe, just, something out there that's divine, that's guiding you in a way that allows you to become the best version of yourself. But knowing that you're capable of more is a big part of that. Knowing that it's not just all about you, right? And if you want to develop a relationship, that goes to, the gratitude and everything else. If you want to have the right team around you, if you want your network, your net worth is a reflection of your network and all of those other things. The only way you're ever going to do that is if you go out to find ways to elevate others while you're elevating yourself, right? I feel like that's one of the biggest things. So let's see. We got a couple of things. Embrace the journey. Best is yet to come. Engage with like-minded people. Operate on a higher level. Absolutely. Amen, amen, amen. Jason, you're fantastic. You've got a great soul. Amazing. Love the story. Got to go. I'm late. Renee, pleasure to have you on as always. So Jason, let me ask you this. As you are going forward into your next version of your best self, right? You got the FAM project you're working on. I know you've got some tremendous vision behind what you're wanting to achieve there. How do you feel that relationships are going to play a role in that success?
Well, number one, the FAM project is way bigger than me. I believe that it's my calling. I think as we go through our journey in life, we find our purpose in life. What we're here for, what calls us. And so this is one of those things that feels for me at this point in my life like this is what I was meant to do. Everything that I've experienced has kind of led me to this exact point. How it goes from the next level, this isn't about me. The FAM project is really about other people. It's about us coming together as a community. There's so much division going on in our world today. What is the one unifying thing with all of us? How important families are, regardless of our, political views, our religious views. The one thing that we all have in common is how important families are.
Real quick about the family, I want to ask someone, and I want you to continue on, Jason. I just want to ask everybody real quick, drop a comment in because we've got a pretty broad group here. Just drop a comment where you are into the chat. Let me know where everybody is from, whether in the U.S., outside, whatever. Just a quick, this is where I am. I'd love to hear that. So Ohio, Chicago, Northern Vermont, D.C., Berkeley, Utah, Sweden, Orlando, Naples, Indiana, Toronto. I know we've got some more. There we go. Saudi Arabia, New York. I know we've got some other international people. We had Germany. I saw a couple people on from Africa earlier. There you go. Germany, Poland, living in Ireland, Medellin, Colombia.
And after people get done with this, and after you've already said where you're from, tell me if you agree with what I just said about families being the unifier for all of us.
Not necessarily.
Okay. I'd love to hear it.
Some of us are from broken families, and you might have a guardian or a best friend that is family to you. I, too, grew up pretty much without a father, so I'm sorry I disagree.
Okay, so the FAM project, so what is FAM? Is FAM blood, or is FAM anybody that kind of fits into that. So family to me is not necessarily blood. Family to me is like fam. That's why I called it the Fam Project, to be inclusive to all those people that, you know, like me, for instance, I don't have a relationship with any of my aunts and uncles, none of them. But guess what? I've got kids. I've got a spouse. That's my family now. And that's hugely important to me. You know, as a parent, I mean, like, that's the most important thing to me. My uppers, or my, you know, family above me, you know, my mom has passed away. My dad has passed away. So I'm literally the only one left. But I have my immediate family. So for me, that's the most important thing. But again, you know, everybody's different. And I'm glad that you chimed in, because, you know, here I am thinking that, you know, this is a unifier for a lot of people, how important our immediate families are. So I appreciate that feedback.
Well, and then looking at it, you know, I think, Forrest, really it's just kind of semantics, but when you hear kind of how Jason's describing it, because family becomes, you know, a lot of us have had obstacles with family, right? Whether it's our kids, it's brothers and sisters, it's parents. But then if you develop relationships in the right way with the people that can help you elevate yourself as well. Like, I feel like Jason and Chris, even though I don't get to spend nearly as much time with them because I'm here in Arizona. Jason, I was joking yesterday. I feel like, you know, currently you're a better friend with Chris, but I was there first. But what I was saying, you know, these guys are brothers to me. They're family. You know I can call, and if there's an issue, I can talk it out or get help. And I'd be willing to do the same for them. You know, I'm flying out to Arizona in April to go visit my mom. I'm going to make time to visit Chris and Jason while I'm there. You know, the key to all of this, and part of, I think, the vision that Jason has with the Fam Project, is that you can work on that core that you have around you, whatever that core may be. But if we do that in the right way, it ends up affecting this diverse world that we've got, where we've got people from all over, all walks of life, all religious backgrounds, all colors and everything else. And if I'm working on my core in the right way and filling that with love and gratitude and everything else, that spills over, right? I mean, that's what it's all about. I'd be happy to sit down with any single one of you at dinner sometime. You know, anybody's in Orlando, you want to hit me up. Hey, let's go grab a bite to eat. I'd be happy to chat, right? But part of that comes from this willingness. Yeah, I show up. No problems. Andrew, here, let's
We're touring America with my boyfriend at some point.
Yeah, we'll bring them down. Look, food is one of those things. It's a pleasure in life. So I will always be down for something like that. But the point of that is simply that if we're building relationships, and this is, you know, why Jason, I know, will succeed with the Fam Project. You know, in order for him to succeed with that, it's going to take relationships with thousands. And then it's going to take teaching other people how to better their own relationships, right? I mean, really, this is what it's about, guys. It's understanding that, and part of this, Forrest, like, I get it. I've got some of those issues with personal family. Jason's got them. How many of us can raise our hand and say we've had issues with family members, right? And maybe we don't have the relationship we'd like to have. But with that said, you know, I recognize as well that there are steps that, like, overcoming some of that hurt. And Forrest, I appreciate your willingness to pop on and say that, because it's not the easiest thing to say. But, you know, stepping over and saying, yeah, I was hurt, but I'm willing to develop relationships wherever I can and make the most of those and deliver value to those, because I know inevitably I'm going to get value back, right? I've talked about B&I before, but there's the saying that givers gain. If you're willing to put that out in the right way, the universe will bless you back with it. Absolutely. Absolutely. So on that note, and guys, there was a ton of awesome comments. Look, seriously, if you're going to be in Orlando, let me know. Like, I got zero problems. This is where I work. You guys see me every single day. I'm sitting on my butt at home. So if we want to grab a bite to eat, it just can't be at noon, Monday through Friday, but just about any other time we can find some time to eat. I mean, I had a steak dinner, earlier this week with a member that was in town. So I got zero problems with it. You know, steak, sushi, tacos, you know, anytime. On that note, Jason, do you have any kind of last thoughts to wrap up as we look at, Dr. Jim here, the reality is we are one global family. The sooner we treat each other that way, the better the world will be. Absolutely. Like that's all of us. Look, in this world, in the last 18 months, can we all agree that what we really need is a little bit more love between the rest of us? Because there's a bunch of morons that like separating everybody. And so be the best version of you, show more love and more gratitude and do that. And there's some big things that
please give me an honest politician just for once.
Yeah, oxymorons, who knows? Jason, do you have any thoughts for us to kind of wrap up when it comes to just life, relationships, mentors, that kind of thing?
You know what? It really comes down to, like we talk about family, fam. It's like, are you surrounding yourself with, right? That can be your new fam. And what we're creating is just a place for people to feel included, but more importantly, where we take a stand for each other's best version of themselves, right? And so if you're surrounded by people that want to see you show up in the best way possible and to get to that next level of being, because it's not a destination, it's a way of being. That's what I want to be about. I want to surround myself with those types of people that care, that love each other, and that are open and non-judgmental. I can have a different belief than someone else and not be ridiculed or chastised for believing a certain way. That's what our freedoms here in America are really all about. So how do we create an environment where there's tolerance, there's appreciation, there's love, there's gratitude, and a willingness to learn about other people's beliefs so that you understand it from a different level? And so that's really what, and sometimes it doesn't work, meaning that, man, I can't see hanging out with that person, right? You know what I mean? And so this is where, again, we get to choose. The great thing about this life is we get to choose who we hang out with, who we consider part of our fam. And so I just challenge each and every one of you to go out there and make it happen, allow it to happen, put forth the effort, the thinking process, the acting process, taking the actions, and doing the things necessary, surrounding yourself with the right people, and then learning and listening to mentors and people that have already gone where you want to go, and then taking that in and applying it to your life. And I promise you'll get where you want to go. Just stay focused on the goal. You don't have to change the goal, even though the goal might change at some point in your life. How you get there is what's going to change constantly. And it's never about the destination. I talked to someone about, someone said about the journey. It really is a journey. It's not a destination. So anyway, I appreciate being here. Thanks so much for the invite, Drew. And this is just great.
Absolutely.
Great
Jason, I appreciate you being on, my brother. So everyone give him a little bit of love. Tell him thank you. Appreciate you coming on, Jason, and all of your thoughts and everything. So guys, go out. Look at building relationships. He mentioned how to win friends and influence people. He mentioned Wallace D. Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich. There's a trilogy book that you can get from Wallace this is the one that I got. I want to say it was, $12 or something you can get on Amazon. He's got 3 books in it. He mentioned a new book by Hal Elrod, The Miracle Equation. And as always, it's just about building yourself and understand everything. So appreciate you guys very, very much. I love you guys coming on. Hopefully you got some value out of these. The replay should be up tomorrow on YouTube. Yesterday's replay is already there. As always, go out, find a way to better yourselves each and every day, and then shine some of that light on others. And no matter what's going on in this world, burning down all around us, as always, rise up from the ashes, fly like the phoenixes that you are. Go out and have an amazing day, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye, guys.
Thank you, guys.